the tone totally shifted. And he was like, what? You're going to climb it? I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the whole idea. They record on top of the radio tower. And there was like a moment of silence. And then he was like, you step on my property, you're done. Oh my God. and I'm like, whoa.
And then we heard like a shotgun click clack on the other side of the phone receiver.
Hold on, did you hear that?
Let me put up the speaker.
Welcome to the Spencer Whiteout podcast. Rated R.
Guess like we're avoiding the shark.
Yo, great turbo neck guy.
I'll give you a kiss. You give me your number.
That checked out a ton, dude. Tell me you felt.
We're Americans. We're the ones that are descendants from the 1776 musket-bearing motherfuckers.
Welcome to the Spencer Whiteout podcast, where we collect experiences as badges, memories as treasures, and stories as wealth. Let's dive in.
He used to be such a nice little boy.
Yeah, it's like the before and after of like the cocaine addiction pictures.
Before and after of like starting a business.
Yeah.
Who is this boy of mystery?
You have a movie trailer voice, Tyson. You know that?
It's true.
In a world
where one man finds another. I don't know. Welcome back to the Spencer Whiteout podcast. Today we have on
Andrew Baer.
Rebecca Baliko.
Tyson Pestner.
So to set this, let's see. So to set, I gotta edit this out. It always takes me a minute.
No, it all stays in.
It always takes me a minute to get into my podcast zone. Okay. All right. So to set. So, all right. So to set the stage, these are all stories from the Space Waves era that never appeared in our BTS documentary Beast Mode. There were simply too many stories to tell over the course of this 5-year-long process, from pre-pro in 2017 to release in 2022. They're too good not to share. So today we're going to dive back in and relive the glory. All right. So the first thing I want to introduce to you guys is Run to Me. Andrew, you know about this.
Oh, yeah. I was maybe the most intimately involved with that story.
Intimately involved.
Becca, have you heard this story?
Oh, yeah.
Tyson?
This is new to me.
Andrew, you want to set up this a little bit?
Yeah. Well, Run to Me is... It's a tragedy, is what it is. From before we started shooting Space Waves, it was during the fundraising era when we were looking at ways that we could get money to make the movie. So maybe 6 months prior, myself, Connor, and Cynthia had won like a short film festival, and we had gotten like a $2,000 prize from some online contest where we like make a short film about this product. And then for whatever reason we won. It was probably because we just had access to like the school equipment. We just used the red and a whole crew of people, and most of the submissions were like
my iPhone.
15-year-olds trying something new, right? And so we won that contest. We used it to put money towards our short film, and we're like, okay, cool, this works.
Rinse and repeat.
Yeah. So Spencer and Connor and I found a film contest from the American Floral Endowment, which is some sort of a flower-related organization. I don't know the details. And they had a $6,000 prize for a 60-second short film about why you love flowers. Right?
Great.
So we're like, okay, this will get half of our production budget. So that was the plan. I mean, we're just going to like get our gear. And Spencer wrote a script. What was your script premise?
Terrible. I don't remember.
Yeah, so we were scouting for a field that was filled with flowers, kind of the minimum viable product for a video like this, right?
Right.
And we found one. It was beautiful. It's these meadows in Southern California, and the pictures were just totally filled with like orange and yellow and all these colors.
And that's how you found it, was by looking like online,
Yes.
not having been there before.
Why would we have to go?
Right.
It was also a couple hours away, so we
really?
didn't want to spend the gas to drive out
close
there.
enough to go for the filming, not close enough for the scouting.
Not at all. Not at all. Anyway, maybe we were a little arrogant. Maybe we were like, oh, we've got this contest in the bag. We'll show up and we'll just crush it.
We won the last one, you know?
So that was our expectation. And yeah, and then we showed up and things didn't go quite as planned.
But I think this story really sets the stage for all the disasters that we would experience during the making of Space Waves. And I feel like it gave us the necessary fortitude to learn how to like roll with the punches and rewrite scripts day of and just be flexible. This is like 13 minutes, so buckle up. Here we go. This is Run to Me.
Inserting exclusive audio recording from the vault.
We get there and we like, it was just me and Spencer because we didn't have time to like scout before, so we were gonna scout like a couple hours before we started shooting.
Right. Me and him get there early,
Right.
walk up this huge trail,
Walk for probably 2 miles. And
keep thinking like, oh, it's just around the next bend. It's just around the next bend.
Oh, boy.
We've been walking for 40 minutes and we're like, we can't do this. We can't. Like, there's no way we can lug everyone in the crew
Right.
all the way out there, and like, there's no flowers, and I'm just like, where are they? Like, why aren't they around the next bend? You kept thinking they're around the next bend.
Let's just go one more and shoot this.
Huh?
Did you go the wrong way?
No.
No, there's a one-way trail.
Is this winter time too, where there's no flowers anyway?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, there should be flowers.
So what happened?
Oh boy.
So we.
Well, don't jump the gun, Mom.
Yeah.
This is Dad. This is a story that I will never forget.
Let me turn off my DVD.
So did you keep walking on that same trail?
No, so we call Andrew, and there was spotty reception out there, and we're basically like, yeah, we found a spot that may work, but it's pretty far out. And he's like, maybe we should just compromise and come back, which I was bummed because I wanted to get near sunflowers, but we compromised. We came like way back, so
We ripped some flowers out.
yeah, we took some flowers we could find and ripped them out so we could bring them with us and put them where
Just stick 'em
And stick them in.
We did.
Yeah, we did end up doing that.
Someone was watching it and they told me that, oh, really nice place to find a flower. Just sticking out of the dirt. You'll see when you watch it.
Just have to
But
have a tight shot with a few flowers in there. Oh boy.
But yeah, so we hike a large distance back, and then we got to move all the equipment out there, and we had taken a pretty big camera and rig, and so we had some people, luckily some people helping us.
Those guys are great. They carried a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
For no reason.
No.
Just carry the stuff out.
But
Just like
me and a couple
again.
others had arrived in the parking lot, and so I set them up with some of the gear.
Yeah.
They were going to inspect.
Yeah, you sent the rest of the crew up, and he's back there with the actors, and you call us like, cool, everything's great, yeah, we're gonna come up, and I was like, cool, you bringing me some donuts? He's like, yeah, I've got the food, I've got everything, everything's all good.
All right, good.
Cool, okay.
Yeah, and we see them coming up, and we see them like way, because it was actually a little farther probably than we thought.
It was so far.
But we could see them like little specks off on the ridge of the
Yeah, carrying the stuff, and so we
we're like screaming,
like, hey!
Yeah.
and they couldn't hear us.
Couldn't hear us. And this is important.
This will come into play later. And so they get over there, we're setting up everything, and we finally call Andrew like, hey, let's pull the actors up.
We're ready to go. Yeah.
We're ready to go. And Andrew starts coming, and we see him as a little speck off in the distance. And
We've
they're
seen another
walking
speck,
towards us.
a little bit bigger speck right in front of them, though. It's the dad actor.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so
You know?
they were all walking together. They got like halfway, and then what happened to that point?
And we're all trying to figure out what we're doing. And then I'm like, call Andrew. I'm like, how's things going? Like, you're pretty close. And you're like, good. You said about the mom, or I asked, what's the deal? And then you said, oh, she's coming, but she's just a little bit back, right? Mm-hmm. She's going to catch up. And I was like, what? Okay. And then I see them turn. Or did we hear the scream first? No, we didn't hear. Okay, going back.
So the reason why, so I'm gonna back up a little bit.
Okay, back up.
What's going on,
Okay.
Anthony? So when I met the actors, it was great because the man playing the father was there. He was good. He was very helpful. He was like, just let me know what you need to get done, and I'll do it. And then the mom with her daughter came, and the daughter was our actor. And so we taught, and we started going up. And I sent out a call sheet the night before, which is basically giving instructions on how the day is going to go and what they should expect, which included the fact that it'd be at least like a mile and a half hike, which it was. And as we were going, the mom was a little, like getting a little distressed, saying, "Oh,
Winded.
well, this is pretty steep." She's a heavier set woman, and so I said, "Yeah, I'm sorry. It's like, I didn't think it would be this steep. I haven't been here before. My apologies." And we're going, and then she's starting to like ask how long it is, and so I realized this could be a problem. So what I do is I stop to give some options, and I say, well, one of the things we could do is we could take a break. We could also find a new shooting location, which is just a lot closer to where we are. And then I said, I mean, I know you don't want to do this, but like, we will take good care of your daughter. We're good people, and so if you wanted to wait in the car, that's fine by us. Although I understand you probably want to be with her. So I laid out all those options.
How old was the child actor?
10?
She's around 10.
Yeah. That's pretty young, so
Yeah.
you don't want anything to happen.
I don't blame her. Yeah. And then she said, you know what, you can go ahead, I'll catch up. And so I said, are you sure? And I didn't think that was a good idea. Just because it's child and mom. So I stayed with her and like asked what we could do, just to be generous. And she said, no, it's okay. Just you go ahead and I'll catch up. So I figured, okay, well, if that's what she wants to do, and if she really trusts us that much, which it seems like she did, she's a kind of person, then like, okay, we'll do that. And I said, okay, well, like, you have my phone, you can call me if you need something. And she seemed very insistent that that was okay to do. So we were walking ahead, and we can fast forward to a part where Spencer and Connor see me stop and then start
Turn
walking
around.
the other way.
And I'm like, you guys are so close. Like, come on, up the hill. Like,
And the reason that happened is because I got a phone call from the mom who was very panicked and was saying, I need my daughter, I need my daughter.
Where's my daughter? And we're like, what? Are
just
you
absolutely losing it. Right? And I was speaking to her, trying to calm her down, saying, your daughter is here. And she would not listen. She would just scream and she'd yell. She wasn't like screaming yet.
Dad.
So I just said, okay, we'll bring her back immediately because I'm not going to get in the way of arguing about the dog relationship. So we're walking back, and I tell the dad, just go ahead and talk to them. I'll be in touch soon. I didn't have a solution, so I didn't.
Yeah, the dad comes up and he's like, I don't know what's going on down there. And I'm like, he's like, you should call him. I'm like, okay. But I'm like, but he's on the phone right now, so like, I can't call him until I can just like.
We were just trying to set up.
I didn't know what was happening.
So I'm walking back with the daughter, and I have to tell her, well, you know, Brooklyn, your mom is very worried about you, and she doesn't want you to act in this now. So we're just gonna have you go back. She said, okay. So she sucked it up and held it in like a real
good for her.
Yeah. So
All
she's had the total attitude of, my mom's distressed, I need to be there for my mom. So, like, so sweet. Like, that's great.
And then all of a sudden we hear bloody murder break loose.
Like,
Dad, I am not even kidding. We were having like normal talking conversations, and we heard this screams over our conversations. It's like, whoa, what was that? We can't even see the mom.
She's farther
than the people we yelled to earlier from a mile away.
You can hear her scream.
And we can hear her scream. And I'm not even exaggerating.
Yeah, it was crazy.
No, it was.
Carried up.
No, I don't know. It was so loud. Right, Connor?
It was wild.
And
it really made me worried. It was like a
me too. It was like blood curdling. It was weird. And then the ex-military guy's like, whoa, like, did somebody fall off a cliff? Or like, that does not sound good. And like,
so I turned to the daughter immediately. She turns to me, and we're both like kind of terrified. And I'm like, is that your mom? And she's like, yeah, I think that's my mom.
And then you hang up the phone on me, and I'm like, I don't know what he's doing. And you guys are like, call him back.
So I hang up on you because I get a call from the mom, and I'm like, holy crap. So I answer the phone, and she's screaming into the phone, right? And so
unintelligible, right?
Yeah, I mean, she's not saying anything. She's just making noise. And so I'm talking to her, hey, I have your daughter, we're coming back, we're walking back, she's right here.
You had a good idea.
I put her on FaceTime, and I give the phone to the daughter, and I say, all right, comfort your mom, while we're like briskly jogging back. And so she's like, Mom, I'm okay. So Mom's still young. And so, because I think she thought that we were gonna kidnap her or something.
Like,
this is the best part. Like curvy hills and roads, right? And so, as soon as we get to a point where we're not hidden behind one of the curves of the road, and the mom and the daughter can finally see each other, they lock eyes, and the mom says, "Run to me!
Run!
Run!" And so the daughter just books it straight towards the mom.
and they just book it out of there.
And so I'm back here. I'm saying, "Ma'am, I'm sorry, ma'am. Even though I didn't do anything wrong, I need to take that stance." And then she's like, "Did you even have a set teacher with you?" And when you're working with SAG actors, which is the Screen Actors Guild, you need to have a set teacher for the minors so that it'll be supervised. We're not a union set, so we don't have to do that. And I said, "No, we didn't." And then she just kind of threw her hands up and then like basically ran the other way. So I'm there just kind of terrified. I'm glad I wasn't murdered. And then
We called you.
I called you and I'm like, what is going on?
And so
you're like, you said, she's gone. And I'm like, she's gone? I'm like, what do you mean she's gone? And you're like, she's gone. And I kept trying to say, like, do you mean like she's around the corner, like coming back, or is she gone? And you're like, she's gone. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, and you just said, yeah, she just ran away. And I'm like, ran away.
We had no context for this because we didn't know anything.
And we never even saw it. I didn't even see that, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what just happened? And then meanwhile, everyone's all, ha, 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 like, we're setting up.
Oblivious.
And this is like horrible for me because I'm the director of this set. And so me and Andrew are in charge. And I'm like, what are we supposed to do? You're like, I'll be there soon and we'll talk about it. I was like, okay. And
I think the last thing I said on the phone call was, all right, well, when I get back, we're going to rewrite the script.
yeah, you said we're going to rewrite the script. And I'm like, what?
So that's what we did. I got back.
I don't think you said that on the phone. I think you said that right up the hill. I was like, what are we going to do? And you're all out of breath. You're like, we're going to rewrite the script. And I'm like,
Let's rewrite the script right on the spot.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
That's what we did.
what are we supposed to do? So then you and me had that little conference. And we're like, okay, we're telling the team now. So then we have to break the news to the team. Ex-military guy. I feel so bad for that because it's like, he's our actor, and then I'm just like, just give us a few minutes. We're gonna figure out. We're gonna figure out a way to rework the story. And he's all like, "Well, what are we gonna do?" Well, like, I can do whatever you guys need me to do, but like,
He was so helpful.
he's just like, what do you want me to do? You want me to go through and pick some flowers? Is that a dumb idea? And he's like throwing at all this. Yeah, he's throwing at all this stuff, and I'm like, just give us a second to talk about it and figure it out.
Well, that's good. At least you had somebody that was on the positive
Really helpful.
side.
Yeah, but then we all congregate and we just brainstorm together and we're like, what can we do to make a film right now without the actor?
And no flowers.
And so I did bring a bouquet that I bought the night before. So we had a couple options to stick into the dirt.
Yeah.
Which is not great.
Background flowers. Yeah, that's good.
I think that's all the story you really need.
Yeah.
The rest of it is just improv.
Yeah, so we just changed the story. So then
We were literally writing it as we were shooting it. Like even once we got to the house, we started like coming
we
up
changed
with
some
ideas.
stuff. We just changed it to where the dad is now like kind of like somebody that's been away for a while, like joining like a military person, and then so he's walking throughout that big expanse and he's like trying to think of something to write his daughter, and he has a notepad and paper, and then he sees the sunflower and then he's like inspired and then he writes something to her.
Oh, okay.
And then we see him later, you know? So that was like how we decided to fix it. But it was hard coming up with something on the spot without a child actor. And we're like, little girl's out of the picture now.
Yeah.
What? Oh, are you looking for the film?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think I even have it.
I have it.
You have it?
Yeah, I can pull it up. But dude, that's probably the reason why I was talking about how great Andrew was, because I was Connor said the same thing. I was like, dude, I would not handle that very well. I would be like, what? Like
Trying to make a film here.
Yeah, like how did you handle that so well? I would have been freaked out. That lady was screaming and
Thanks.
yeah, dude, that was cool to see that.
Oh, I do have it.
Oh, you have it?
Yeah.
Pull it up on yours. But yeah, that's the story. What do you think?
Wow, yeah, pretty wild that you're having good experiences.
Yeah,
things like
Yeah, isn't that something that's just
will
wild?
happen. I bet things like that will always happen.
It was an
Similar.
interesting experience for
Will
sure.
happen again.
Just like writing a script as you're
Yeah,
shooting.
that's good though.
Yeah.
To do that.
Oh, here we go.
That's when Andrew knew he was destined to be a producer. That's a defining moment of, do you have the temperament to do this job, to be a producer? And he was proven to himself.
That's right,
there.
dude. Like I said,
honored.
this set the stage for all the things that we were going to experience on Space Waves. Actors leaving, locations falling through, things falling apart, almost getting arrested. The list goes on.
The only thing I will say against you, Andrew, you should have had the forethought as the mom says, "Run to me," and the daughter starts running. You should have just pulled out your phone, recorded it, and then you guys could have like slowed it down to like where it looks all choppy, dreamy, and then you cut that in with the dad being like,
my daughter left me to go live with her mother.
But then you like in the short film?
Yeah. It's like the daughter running away, and it's like some memory of the dad.
and the dad's
as the
like,
field's
my
on
daughter
fire.
ran away from me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very interesting story because it had to teach me that like sometimes the situation just isn't fair and you just have to like do the best you can.
Never underestimate people's power to change their minds.
Exactly.
You know, Andrew, I would almost say that you learned a valuable lesson that day in being like, well, had we scouted out early enough, we would have known what it was like, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think you quite learned that lesson exactly that day due to certain location snafus on Space Waves.
So many, dude. It would take me years to learn that lesson, we'll say.
But dude, rewriting the script on set, I feel like this was the start of our Nathan Fielder out of the box style thinking. Do you want to comment on that, Andrew?
His comedy is like finding really, really over the top solutions for like these weird situations he finds himself in.
Nice.
And we, in Space Waves and the making of it, we found ourselves in so many weird situations where it's like there's no like conventional way out of this, because how many other times have we been like chased out of somebody's house by an angry father who didn't know we were there? There's not a standard protocol for this.
Not at all.
So anyway, we just like to reference him as somebody to like think of when it's like, oh, we need a creative solution. What do we do?
Well, and you came up with one of your first creative solutions that day about airdropping Crafty with the drone.
That's right.
We didn't end up using it because, you know, things went a
The
little off
technology
plan.
wasn't quite
That's
there
right.
yet.
That's
You
right.
know, now it is.
Now it is.
Yeah.
Because they were so far away and we had food at the parking lot. It's like, I wonder if we can like deliver Crafty to set.
With the drone that you guys had?
Was it actually a good use of our time? No. But was it fun to strap a Stater Bros bag of groceries to a drone and try to make it fly?
Absolutely.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
And didn't you say if that had worked, then maybe we could have got the mom over to us as well?
My goodness, that would have been
alternative solution.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Just hanging on for dear life.
If only you guys had, just had a dolly, you know, and just could have wheeled her.
The drone is 10 feet above the ground. The mom's dragging.
Doesn't quite have the power to get her airborne, but
Yeah.
Yeah, the heavy set woman.
But the winners of the contest were these kids with iPhones. We didn't even make it as a nominee. It was bad. But like I said, I mean, I feel like we just learned some valuable lessons. And it was the first time you, me, and Connor all got to work together. And it was the first time that we had one of our many Trinity meetings where we would have to get together and figure out how to improvise and how to make the rest of it work.
That's
you know?
Yep.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you mind if I take a quick
that's fine.
pee break right
That's
now?
fine.
10-1.
10-1.
All right, we're ready to get back into this?
Oh, yeah. By the
All
way,
right,
that's
cool.
the smallest sink I've ever seen.
Were you peeing in the sink?
That's why it was so hard. It's like, wow. Oh, man. Is that not where you do it?
All right, so we're going to get into the next story here. This one's called Ruth. Ruth. Andrew, this is kind of your story.
Well, yeah, this one, I'm trying to figure out where to even start with this.
It's just a classic. It's one of the very first ones that happened. This is when we were location scouting, winter 2017, 2018.
Yeah, it was me, you, and Union, and we were scouting Grass Valley. We were looking for locations, just going place to place. It was like a whole week of scouting. And we were looking for places where we could film home exteriors. So where Marvin's house is, but just from the outside, so we wouldn't have to go in. We found a street that had cool looking homes, and we were like, okay, what if we just like knock on some doors, be the friendly neighborhood guys, and we'll just be like, hey, is it all right if we like get a shot of just the exterior of your home for this like film project we're doing? The Ruth story comes from when we knocked on this one particular person's door.
All right, so we got an audio recording. This one is from December 17th, 2017.
Wow.
That's I'm glad I keep these. All right, here we go.
Inserting exclusive audio recording from the vault.
This is going in the history books right here, dude. This story is called Ruth.
Yeah, that's the name of the story.
Yeah.
You have to say it like that.
Ruth.
So at this very house right here, 4 months ago, we all walk up and we like knock on the door. There's like no one answering. Okay, let's try it one more time. So we knock on the door. And we hear Ruth. Ruth. like so scared. Like, Ruth, is that you? Oh my gosh, I hope it's like not you. Right? Like terrified. That's kind of how I remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just weird.
Who the heck is Ruth?
Yeah.
So she comes to the door with this like look on her face, and she's like, "Oh,
you guys aren't Ruth."
And she's like an 80-year-old woman. Yeah. But then we explain, yeah, we're not Ruth, but we're making a movie. And then can we film here? She's like, yeah, that's fine. So now we might
Let's just
be where
make
we
sure
film.
Ruth doesn't come by.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
We're not gonna film at
Andrew, I gotta ask, do you still have it, bro?
That's the best I can muster now.
Next section is Camp Space Waves.
So we needed money, and we were willing to get
The
creative.
story of the entire production.
Yeah. But that's the narrative for that 5-year season of my life. One idea was like, okay, we have crew dropping like flies because it's a month unpaid in a place they don't live. So that's the situation.
But it's not like these were like 30-year-olds that had families to take care of. They need to just buckle up and just do it.
Well, dude, here's the thing. A lot of people are excited about the idea of making a movie, but actually making a movie is a totally different thing.
Yeah.
You know? So the problems to solve, there were two, was how do we get more hands on deck to help out? Because we keep losing crew. And how do we get money, right? So we briefly kill two birds with one stone. That's the goal here.
Yes. So we briefly entertained this idea. So we kill these birds. So the idea was, we briefly entertained this. What if we could have a summer camp where parents pay to have their kids go learn filmmaking on the set of Space Waves
Why
in
do
Northern
all your
California?
stories have to do with parents relinquishing their children to you?
I don't know. That's the premise of it. We call it Camp Space Waves. Right. And we're like, how does this work? I mean, maybe they come to set and there are PAs and there's like an instructional period where they're like watching the DP do their thing. But, oh, by the way, we need to move all the C-stands from the truck. So let's get on it, guys.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. So the idea was to, while filming the movie, have it be like a camp and have children come in who are like, I want to learn how to make movies, and then them be like the crew.
Yes, and the parents are paying us to babysit and teach.
I can't tell if this is the best idea I've ever heard or the worst.
It's called an internship.
It is probably the worst. That was an idea that we tossed around for a few hours. And we're like, probably not
going to work.
Right, yeah,
probably not legal.
Yeah.
We did get a little bit of free child labor, though. We had Denim on set.
We did have Denim.
So, that guy was good.
But he was actually in the movie. So,
True. Yeah, true.
Shout out to Denim.
That's because the other actor that was supposed to play Denim dropped out.
Another classic story of Space Waves.
Classic.
Should we talk about motorhomes? This is what Becca was thinking about. What do you remember about this?
Andrew had told me about this idea at the CAF when I was first going to come onto the project. Because I think he was making sure I'd be comfortable with the idea of camping with, at the time, mostly a bunch of guys. And I was like, yeah, I think so.
Because we didn't think we'd have money for hotels. We didn't know where people would stay. And it's like, we just have to use Spencer's like property. It's like, well, what if we just like rent motorhomes?
Bunch of tents.
It was tents and it was motorhomes, and it was like, which one's gonna be cheaper?
I don't know, Andrew. Which one of those sounds like it would be cheaper?
Just a bunch of blankets, like makeshift tents.
Space Waves budget at the time was for like sticks and tarps. So you asked Becca if she's cool with coming into this camping idea.
Yeah, because the idea was like, well, tents are probably what we can afford, but some people won't join if it's just tent camping. So it's like, what if we have at least a few motorhomes to where like we can get all the crew that we need?
So what did we end up doing, Andrew?
Your mom's friends from church came in clutch to like offer up their homes for hosting, which was way more than we thought we would get. And that was all free. And that was really generous of them.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Andrew, should we talk about fundraising and how we started raising money for Space Waves?
We did turn the production center at school into a call center. We had basically scheduled evenings where everyone would come into the production center and we would go through our contacts and start calling people to ask for donations. And we had like a scoreboard on the wall and we would bring in as much money that way as we could. It's super like grassroots thing. Not too fancy, but the fact that other people besides just Spencer and I would do that is really admirable. And that was really cool. There's also a garage sale, which Tiffany was the mastermind of. She organized a whole event out of it, found a way to get a ton of free stuff that we could sell.
Spencer comes out, wait, that's mine.
Yeah, she just put Spencer's room for sale.
Well, kind of same thing. I mean, we asked for donations like, hey, does anybody have clothes or big items that they want to give to us? And we're going to organize this big garage sale.
That's a great way to do
Advertise
it,
in the newspaper, street signs, all kinds of things. And then at the garage sale, we had a big sign up that was like raising money for Space Waves, Biola feature film. And so we made about $800 there, which was very successful. And it was almost more than our crowdfunding campaigns, right?
Yeah. Like for a movie of our size, it's like
Which, by the
800 from
way,
a garage sale is pretty good.
This lets you know like how like indie low budget this was, where you're just like $800. This is so good.
This is going to finance weeks.
Okay, so moving into production, everyone gets up to Grass Valley. We find the space tower is demolished.
My whole worries, by the way, when I got to Grass Valley, because I'd only met you, Spencer, up until this point. And so I fly out to Grass Valley by myself because you guys had been at really long filming day. And then when I arrived, that was your first break.
That's right.
And I was kind of texting people and hearing nothing back. And I'm sitting in the Sacramento airport just like, what have I done?
I actually started thinking
I've just
about
flown
it.
to some place that I've never been, and no one is here to get me.
So funny. How long did you wait before someone picked
I
you
think
up?
like 2 hours.
What? I thought my mom came and got you though.
No, she did, but I didn't have like her number, I don't think. And it took a while for one of you guys to wake up and then be like, oh, right, yeah. Don't worry, my mom's coming. And yeah.
Oh, it was on our off day.
Yeah, it was on your off day. And
our
you guys
first
had
off
like,
day.
were just knocked out because you guys were been up like such crazy hours the last couple days.
Dang.
That's crazy.
Well, glad you made it, bro. Yeah, and when you arrived at the house, it was like everyone was asleep and like
entering a war
Hi,
zone.
nice to
Yeah.
meet you. I'm Tyson. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. Okay, so the space tower was demolished. That was brutal. We'll circle back to that and tell a little more of that story. But the fish tank.
This is new to me.
We needed the fish tank for the swimming hole scene because we wanted to like dip the camera to be like partially
The $50,000 red camera into the fish tank and submerge it into the water.
Yeah,
Because that's what we could afford.
yeah.
We could afford a
underwater
$15
shots
fish
for
tank.
some reason.
But Connor said he'd be careful, so you got to give him that.
And he
that
was.
validates it. Yeah.
Dude, the camera was worth more than our whole budget. And we only got it because it was our film school's camera. We got
we
to
didn't
borrow.
have to pay a dime. Yeah, the fish tank we needed for the water stuff. I found one on Facebook Marketplace. It was for like $10. And he's like, meet me on this road at these coordinates. Already it's a little weird, but I'm like, okay, it's Grass Valley, whatever. So I take my truck, I go to those coordinates, and then I'm just waiting. I text the guy on Facebook Marketplace. I'm like, hey, I'm here. And I'm like just kind of standing around for like 7-8 minutes. And then this like child on a massive tractor starts coming down the path from a ways. And he's got the fish tank behind him. And this guy is probably like 11 years old. He's really young.
You that man I was talking to about fish tank?
And he literally talked like that.
No.
He literally
I just
did.
made that up.
had a super redneck like
Wow.
accent to him, like 11-year-old kid.
You ain't from around here, are you?
And he was hyping up this fish tank. He's like, yeah, man, it's real good quality. What are you going to use it for anyway?
This glass bulletproof, you know what I mean? You want to stand behind it? I'll test it right now.
Pulls out a
I got
shot.
my dad's.
So anyway, that was just like a weird way to get the fish tank. I just paid him $10 and then took it, but I just didn't expect that.
So Becca, what do you remember about the fish tank? Because I know how the fish tank story ends.
Oh, yeah. But it wasn't until we were doing the swimming hole day that I realized this was something for the camera. Yeah, we're hiking down. You know, it's super steep. It's really hot out. It's basically a deer path that we're going down, and we're carrying all this equipment. And then even when we got to the rocky area, there wasn't really that many safe areas to put equipment.
Nothing was flat.
Yeah, nothing was flat. So I was trying to figure out like, okay, somehow I have to now rebuild the camera to fit inside this fish tank, which is really sketchy. So we had to like turn it sideways and readjust a bunch of things because we needed the matte box on for ND filters. And the whole time I'm thinking, like, I don't know.
Andrew didn't buy a big enough fish tank.
Yeah. I was like, oh man, buy the $15 one. And we did get the camera to barely fit inside, and then Connor like took it in the water and it broke.
Like a slight crack, yeah.
Yeah,
So
like-
there was a little bit of water getting into it, and we're like, okay,
Like,
forget
we
this.
can't
We're not
do
going to do
this.
this. And then we took it out and had to
We had to
reassemble.
rebuild it. Like it was this
And we're
huge
just
waste of
Immediately
time.
just like, well, this was a piece of junk.
Yeah, and
Well, dude, because then we were like saving it, and the whole day went to shit, you know, and everything was just completely wrong. And so
What a
we ended
day.
up hiking back
I
up
had a
the
massive
hill,
headache.
and I was carrying the fish tank that was already cracked, and I'm like slipping, trying to get up the hill. And at one point, I was just like, "Ah," and I just threw it, dude. I just threw it.
No,
I threw it, and it just shattered, dude. And like, people heard the glass shattered. They're like, "What was that?" And I was just like, "Fuck that fish tank."
Spencer had, that was it. He had
I
reached
was
his
so
breaking
over
point.
that fish tank, dude. And I was like, I'm tired of this. And then we got up the hill, and then what happened, dude?
Oh, the real life Mr.
Yeah, then
Phallicson?
the real life Mr.
Oh,
Phallicson
man. Oh,
came
yeah.
through.
It was surreal because, like, I already had like a massive headache the whole day.
yeah.
I wasn't even really in the scene that much, and I was just laying there, just being like, "Let this be over." And we walk back up. Everyone is so tired, so tired, and hungry, and everyone just wants to take a moment to relax. Right? The shooting day is done because that's all we had for the day. Right? You know, we were basically on a daylight schedule that day. As soon as the sun was going down, we were done.
We only got like a third of what we needed
Right.
that day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And a lot of it too is just like any other day that stuff kind of doesn't really go right, or you kind of have to kind of adjust our like what we're shooting or our coverages, or you know, we're not really getting the coverage that we wanted, so now here's something else. And a lot of improvisation, not by the actors but just by the crew, right? Like of just kind of like, well, here's what we got to do. Anyway, everyone's tired. We get up to the top, and everyone just wants to take a moment before we pack, because there's still a lot to pack, to just kind of sit and catch our breath or just, you know, rest. The man in question arrives, right? And while we're all sitting there, like he pulls up, never seen this guy. And we're all just kind of like, who's that? You know, he's looking at us like, who are you? Who are these? And we're like, whatever. Oh, I guess he lives here. Oh, that must be the dad, right? But like that's about as far as I think any of us thought, because prior to this, when we arrived on location, Andrew had been in communication with his wife,
his daughter.
his daughter,
Yeah.
and through his daughter and his wife, we had gotten all the approval we needed to be like, hey, we're not actually filming at your house. We're just
Parking at your property,
parking
taking
on your
over
property.
your garage.
Yeah, but like, do you mind?
No,
like,
yeah.
can we keep our stuff here? This is what we're doing.
Yeah, and it was
Blah,
a
blah, blah.
friend referral.
Exactly.
Matt Walker's
Yeah,
friend,
Matt
right?
Walker's friend. So
Yeah.
we talked to her. She
Yeah.
says, "Oh yeah, that's fine with me and my mom. My dad's not back till later.
Right.
You guys are fine to park here, and then us crew, we would walk our stuff past their property,
Yeah.
down to the river."
And I think any reasonable person in this situation, which I guess we've just learned is too much to ask, but like any reasonable person in the situation from our end would think, okay, great, we've talked to 2 out of the 3 members of the household. That information will probably make its way to anyone else who needs to know what's going on. So that's it. Out of our minds, we're good to go. Well, no, it never made it to this guy. And he turned out was not very happy.
Nor was he reasonable.
Like he started making a phone call from inside the house, and you guys could kind of hear.
Well, we were trying to talk to him through the screen door, and he was just like ignoring us, and he's on the phone. He's like, who are these people? What are they doing here?
Right. And we're all like, I think we're in trouble now. So sure enough, he did not want us there and wanted us out as promptly as possible. Was claiming we had moved like all his stuff. Like someone sat in a chair and like moved it so they could like sit in it, and it's like, you moved my chair.
Which, by the way, is kind of a funny sticking point from him, because if there are people who doesn't know at his house, there's so many other things to like harp on than the fact that we moved his lawn chairs.
Right.
I just think that's a funny detail.
Use up all his toilet paper.
We did. It was like, that's all we did. It was moved his chair, so that's all he had against us.
My favorite part of the whole ordeal, I guess my two favorite parts really, but as we're finally packing and all trying to leave, he's trying to close the garage door, but people keep breaking the laser, so it keeps not going down, and he's just sitting there like, get out of my garage.
And Alex is rolling under the garage door.
Dun, 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 dun.
And the way the legend goes, the power cord dropped, and he just like snatches it and he grabs it in.
I would say a lot of the crew had no idea what was going on. And so 2 of the trucks, Andrew's truck and Connor's truck, on the way home, because we were going to regroup at your parents' house, got lost. Because I think you put in the wrong address. And so we had no idea what was going on. I was just like, we have to have lunch somewhere else.
There was not good cell service out there either, because we were just getting out of there as fast as possible. We were literally peeling out of there. Get to the chopper.
Going out, you know.
And so like our truck was just following Andrew, and we're just like going and going and going for a while. And
we're in the middle
I don't know where we're going.
In the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden we're getting calls from like Spencer and Tiffany and like all these other people like, are you guys okay? Like, where are you right now? And we didn't really understand why you guys were so concerned, because everyone else had arrived at the house and we were late, and you guys were like, did they cut his tires?
We were thinking this man chased you down.
Actually, because it was so tense getting out of there, and by the time we got back to the house, you guys weren't back for like another hour even, and so we were like, what happened? Did he like shoot you guys like, on his property? You know? Did he shoot out the tires? Are you guys stranded? Is he holding you hostage?
I also really love that he refused, because how old are you at this time, Andrew?
Dude, you're like 18.
18, right? And same with you, right, Spencer?
No, I'm a few years older than him.
Oh, okay, got it. But you guys are still quite young, but you are ostensibly, you guys are the ones in charge of like all the project, and he just refused to believe that these young people were in charge of anything. And like, other than our drone operator, I was the oldest person there, and at the time I'm 28, so he's also not looking to me like, you know, and I'm sort of especially when I'm shaved, like at that time too, I'm more of like a baby face younger, 28 and so like he's not looking to me to be like, are you an adult? And he's goes straight to Titus. He goes straight to Titus,
our drone operator, who's like 60 something.
Did awesome work, by the way. So he just goes up to Titus and says, are you the senior man in charge? And without missing a beat, Titus goes, well, I'm a senior man, but I'm not in charge. And he did not like that at all.
That's the best response ever. Such a classic story.
It's awesome.
Okay, so we talked about the fish tank retrieval. Now we got to talk about the chicken retrieval.
The chicken.
That's a good story.
Wheels the chicken.
You remember Wheels, right? You held him.
I held him for an hour.
It's a long time to hold a chicken.
That's a long time to hold a chicken. People think they're light. Not when you have to hold them for an hour like a football. You know.
So part of my job that morning was to pick up the chicken and bring him to set.
Which backwoods little boy did you pick this animal from? It's actually I would love it if it was same kid. Here you're in need of a chicken. I got plenty. Now look at this one. That's good.
It just emerges from the field.
Driving the same tractor. Driving the same tractor with like a pen full of chickens. And he's like, how'd that fish tank work out for you? Nah, that tends to happen sometimes.
It was like Tiffany's friend or something that had this chicken, and they were at work. They were like, oh, we'll just leave it in the yard for you. You know, we'll put it in its cage, and then you just go there and pick it up, and then you'll be good. All I had to do was just drive there in the morning and pick up the chicken and head out, and it would be really simple. I'm there like maybe 15 minutes early, and I park my truck, and then I'm realizing like, okay, there's the chicken. I just have to get inside, and oh wait, there's a huge guard dog that wants to rip my head off, and he's standing right next to the chicken cage and barking like crazy. And so I am trying to get in contact with the owner and be like, hey, anything we can do about this dog? And no response. And I'm in a rush because we're always in a rush on Space Waves. So I wasn't exactly sure how to get this dog far enough away so that I could get the chicken safely. For whatever reason, the thing that came to mind was to park the truck at the other end of like their property and then blast squirrel sounds from the speakers. So I connected my phone to the truck speakers and I started playing squirrel sounds. And it actually
Nathan
worked.
Fielder do?
Yeah.
Yes.
It actually
Yes.
worked. And the dog started like heading that way towards the property because it was like curious. It's like, oh, what is this? And so I run back stealthily because if the dog sees me, then it's going to chase me instead. And it was like a 20-minute thing to try to get the timing right here. It wasn't like a foolproof first strategy. I had to actually go through a couple of different YouTube playlists of squirrel sounds. By the time I found one that worked, I literally just like go in and make a run for it. So I went in, I ran and got the chicken and made it out, and the dog didn't get me. He did see me on the way out with his chicken, and I wonder if he felt a little upset about that, but we made it out okay. So that was how we got it to set.
And if only the fun stopped there.
Where did the fun keep going?
Where the chicken kept trying to run away.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He did not stop. That's why he's appropriately named Wheels.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the chicken thought
Yeah,
he was
because how was
stolen,
that
you
scene
know?
supposed to go in the forest?
These guys
Talk about that
kidnapped
forest
me.
scene, Tyson.
Spencer, I can't tell you how it was supposed to go. I only remember how it went. I mean, he was supposed to just be in the little like hut.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That we found.
Right.
That,
Which is crazy.
That was crazy that we just found that out in the forest.
Production value. I wasn't even supposed to hold him, I don't think, right?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
I guess you held him because he kept running, huh?
Yeah, which I think it kind of worked out.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh, it's a chicken. Let me grab it. And then
Yeah,
you pick it up
we
and
pick
you're
it
looking
up
at
and
it.
yeah.
And then it's in a tight medium shot and we're able to see the bib and everything. It worked perfect.
It actually worked out really good.
That's good. Chicken.
But it was just funny because he was supposed to hang out in there, and then we turn our backs, and then he like leaps out of the.
Yeah, he just jumps the cage.
hole,
Yeah,
and then like is hey, where's the chicken? And then like he's just running around somewhere.
I thought like, why don't we get tape and just tape it down? But then people were like, that's
tape
a little...
it down.
Yeah.
To what?
To the dirt?
To the dirt.
I don't know. I was like, we got all this gaff tape. Like, people were like, no, that's a little inhumane. Yeah, nail it
not
to
like
the floor.
hey, should we put like a little leash on it, stake it into the ground? No,
Tape
tape
its
it
feet.
to the ground.
So Rebecca had a good point, which is that we think it's weird, like, oh, why does this chicken keep trying to run away? But from the chicken's perspective, it's like some strange man just like kidnapped him from his home that morning.
And then put it in a teepee. It's like some weird
area.
sacrificial ritual.
Like, I ain't doing this.
All those
No
other
wonder he's
chicken
running.
friends are like, run to me.
Yes. Very good.
They're my people.
Shout out to Denim again, Mr. Chicken
Yeah,
Wrangler.
Denim.
Yep.
Abram.
That's right.
Yeah.
Abram, yeah. Should we talk about hiring the Gerthinator and the 300% pay raise?
Oh, yeah.
300%. He got $80. Wow.
So we wanted Kenny to play the Gerthinator because he was just perfect for it.
I know.
We could only offer him $50 to drive out from Menlo Park to Grass Valley and work a day and then drive back.
Wait, where's Menlo Park?
It's like a Bay Area.
Oh, got it.
Oh, dang.
Are you kidding me?
Hey, this is back in 2018 when $50 was worth a lot more. It still wasn't worth much.
For inflation.
Yeah, it wasn't worth much, so.
So anyway, I asked Kenny to do the job and he sent a very kind email where he's like, you guys seem great and I like the script. I don't think that will even cover my gas. What do you think we can do? And we were within a few days of the shoot. And at this point, I'm so used to people not responding to me in like email or text that I've come up with this habit of creating like clickbait subject lines for my emails so that people will respond to them. Anyway, so my subject line to Kenny was 300% pay increase for Gerthinator role. And
That's a good subject line.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it was the content of the email was more like, hey, Kenny, that's super fair. Could we do 150? for gas and work all in. And he's like, yeah, I can do that. So that was
I'm wondering from Kenny's perspective, where he's like, how broke are these guys that their first offer is $50?
They have to market $150 as if it's so grand as a 300% increase.
He should have known from the first Zoom meeting.
He's like, I have to do it. I feel so bad for these guys.
I mean, with Drew, the guy who was in the school scene, he literally donated his paycheck to us after working for the day because I think he just realized we needed it more than he did.
Well, I mean, in reality, that's basically what I did as well. I mean, for me, the value was so much more in just like, let's get this movie made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's as in terms of not just the experience, but also like, this is what we're all trying to do here.
We're cut from the same cloth, and you recognize that.
Yeah, well, because it's, and this is now, I mean, we're sort of skipping ahead a little bit, but this is like in post-production era, and I had kind of been in talks with you guys throughout because I obviously have a vested interest in like, hey, like, how's the movie going, and like, all that good stuff, and it's just sort of, I mean, I've donated back. Well, I guess more invested back, but that's just for anyway, basically whatever I got paid. And then also just more, just to be like, I'm part of this movie. Like this is for us, for me, just as much as them too. Like I want people to see this and I want people to see my work. And so it'd be completely different if you guys were some major studio but then you're like, we can only afford to pay you $40. And you're like, I know you have distribution deals. Everything is all set up ahead of time. Like, no, it's not. It's just like a ragtag team of people who had other people telling them, don't do this. You shouldn't make this movie. And you're like, but I mean, how else am I supposed to be good at making movies if I don't make a movie?
Yeah.
So
I feel like if you didn't come in to help financially towards the end, it would have been like another couple of years. The amount of time that we were risking having to spend in addition because we didn't have money was just like
which is
years
kind
worth.
of crazy to think because it was only $5,000 I think that I gave at the time, which it just how much $5,000 was able to go towards. We just showed like how I think really with what
how
you guys
scrappy we were, you know?
and how you guys were able to utilize that money just to get stuff done. So because really $5,000 in the grand scheme of like a major studio production goes nowhere. Like it's a drop in the bucket. It really went a long way to help with like ADR or just some other random post-production stuff that it was more of just like, hey, can we get this done any faster? Like, how can this save us some time? Because at this point, both of you, Spencer and Andrew, were essentially like going to work. You guys were already graduated by this point. You're just kind of like working your day jobs and you're like, okay, whenever we can get a little bit of extra money to like put towards the movie, I guess we will. And so that can take a while,
when
you're
snail's pace.
When you're just trying to like live your life now or like be faced with the everyday challenges of just living on your own and doing all that stuff.
And we don't have fancy tech jobs that pay nice or anything like that. So.
Exactly. In retrospect, if I could see it in the future, I probably would have just told you guys ahead of time, just like, cool, just pay for my flight. And like, that's it. Like, we're not even gonna, worry about a day rate. So,
right.
Yeah, it was
That's awesome, man. So do you want to talk about Kenny almost bringing it to school?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell it, Andrew?
Probably not.
No, don't want to tell it? Okay.
Okay, so we're going to skip that. That's a special note. If you'd like to get the uncensored version, sign up to the Patreon.
There's the Patreon.
Yes.
That's great.
The Spencer Whiteout podcast Patreon exclusive. The Rated R.
Rated X.
Wow. Okay. BMW thief.
Yeah, I feel like you tell this story better than me, honestly.
So the BMW thief, one of our day players shows up to one of our filming locations. I'm not going to say which location. They park their BMW. The car alarm goes off. And then this person gets out and then looks around, kind of panics. I don't know. Dives back into the BMW, drives out, peels out of there. And then 30 seconds later, Andrew Connor and I see a cop car driving by with sirens on, going, "Bow, wow, wow," and like going the same direction. And so we're like, what the heck was that? 2 minutes later, the actor returns with the BMW and gets out like nothing happened. Right? Mm-hmm. And then we're like, hey, is everything okay? And then what did he say?
Wasn't he like, oh, this happens sometimes?
Yeah, he's like, the car alarm, it's buggy sometimes. I got to drive it to turn it off.
Yeah.
So it was just weird. I don't think any of us really bought it that like, oh, my car just like has the like security alarm go off randomly and I've just got to like dodge the cops and turn it off that way. I think we all just kind of chose to like look the other way and be like, okay, bro.
Hopefully you guys don't get arrested and we can film this scene.
You guys are just literally, in your head, you're like, if I just pretend like I don't actually know what it is, we can get this filming done. And we can all be an accomplice. We can all go on our way.
Yeah. This one is crazy though.
All right.
I don't think most people know this one.
I'm excited.
Day 18. The final battle.
So principal photography was 18 days. And this is a story from day 18. This is our last possible day to shoot in the summer. You had a flight out the next morning. Most people had to just leave that next day. Other people had flights back to LA. So it was the last day.
Now or never, baby.
And we had gotten some easy scenes that morning, but the last half of the day was reserved for filming the liquor store scenes where Marvin goes in to buy cigarettes for Sawyer. And we had previously planned to film this scene 2 or 3 other times that month, but each time I had gone into the store the day before just to double check, like, hey, are we still good to shoot here on this day? They would say,
something came up. Sorry. Let's reschedule.
And I would pick a day to reschedule, and then that cycle continued a few times. Mind you, I was actually at that store 6 months earlier on that scout trip that we talked about before with Spencer, where they'd given the green light. So there's literally like no more opportunities for them to postpone it after day 18. We show up. Dodge and I were the first ones there. Dodge is the assistant producer / PA / hero who made me not go crazy. I go in to meet with the lady who's working there. I'm saying, hey, we're here to film. And she says, I'm so sorry, guys. You're not going to be able to film here today. And I'm a little ticked.
Which anyone who knows Andrew, that's a feat.
That's very rare.
Yeah, and I'm a little ticked. I don't get angry at her, but I'm obviously frustrated at the situation because, I mean, we had extras who were going to show up to that place. We had postponed this scene so many times. It's like, how are we going to make this work? And so I'm being persistent enough to ask like, oh, why isn't it going to work? And she's like, oh, my boss really would not like it if he found out you guys were here. I'm like, why is that? Maybe I could ask him.
He would not like it? You haven't asked him?
Right?
Let's get some confirmation on this.
Those are the questions I'm asking. Yeah. And so I'm kind of pressing. I'm like, okay, so if you're not certain, do you think I could get his contact info so I can just double check with him?
She says he's in a situation with his brother right now.
Just kind of vague. And I'm like, okay, so can I get his number? And she's like, I can't give you his number. I guess you could reach out to him on Facebook, but I don't know if you'd want to do that. And to me, all I'm thinking is like, I just want to like find out from this dude if we can just film here.
What's he gonna do? Angrily respond to me?
Like, we've seen way worse at this point. But then she sees I'm like an 18-year-old child, and so she then clues me in on a little more context, and she's like, yeah, so right now my boss is kind of in a battle. She didn't say battle. Sorry, let me rephrase that. She did not say
fighting a war.
So right now my boss is at his brother's liquor store, which is the rival liquor store to this one, and they had an altercation. Punches were thrown. The police are there right now. And I just don't think this is a great time to ask him about filming. And that's a reasonable response. Now, I had no idea that this owner was not only brothers to a rival liquor store owner, but getting in fights with him. And that was the kind of dynamic here. And so this immediately got way more complicated.
Why would he be mad? That would be free advertising, giving his liquor store a boost over his brother. I don't think he'd be mad at all. This lady was not thinking outside the box.
That's right. So, because I'm in persistent mode, I'm like, if we don't shoot this scene, like, I don't think we ever will.
This is not how Space Waves is going to end.
Yes.
We've overcome every challenge.
We do not fail.
So I asked her for his Facebook. She's like, okay, I can give you his Facebook. I add him on Facebook. For sake of privacy, what are we calling him?
Manadir Hundel.
Manadir Hundel will be his
alias.
Privacy name. So I very briefly check out his profile before sending him a message. Picture was of him wearing a turban and holding a spear. And a very angry, aggressive.
Someone.
Very angry and aggressive. I sent him this email telling him about how we had been given permission to film, and now it looked like that wasn't working, and we just want confirmation that we can do it. And while I'm waiting on a response, one, Dodge is calling all the other like gas stations nearby to find anyone that will say yes over the phone. 2, I start Googling this guy. First thing that comes up when I put in his name is an article about his arrest. Here's the headline. Grass Valley market owner arrested on gun assault charges. Part of the description is that he was released on a $25,000 bail for having illegal weapons in the store and for an assault charge. So then that's when I realized, okay, this is the guy we are dealing with here. Do I still want to film here? Kind of. But is it wise to start looking in other places? Yes. So that's when we started calling around, and we ended up getting a yes over the phone from this guy, Daryl, at a Chevron.
We love Daryl.
45 minutes away. Dodge just described, yeah, we just need to film a scene outside and walking inside, and we'll probably be there for 6 hours. And is that okay with you? And homeboy Daryl is like, fine by me. Come on over. And we all went 45 minutes over to Daryl's Chevron.
Great beard, by the way.
Great beard. Yeah. And he made it into the movie as the guy who sells Marvin cigarettes.
He has a great line, too.
Is she hot?
Is she hot?
Is she hot?
Okay.
Okay.
He's so
All right.
good. Just naturally good.
Yeah.
And then, so also on day 18, when we showed up at that new gas station, we had this woman who started sexually assaulting my Mustang.
It's a good-looking Mustang.
That was crazy. She's like, oh, yeah, my boyfriend in high school had one of these. She's all running her hands across the car, kind of rubbing it down and stuff, and like leaning up against it and all the stuff. And we were just like, oh, you know, she's like, the engine's still warm.
Turn it on.
Can you open up the hood?
Yeah, can you open up the hood? Yeah, it's so uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable.
Get away from that
this movie because we're just trying to get the movie done. It's 2 a.m. We're tired, and this, lady who's all drugged up on something is just having fun touching Spencer's car, and we're like, we did not sign up for this. But it's kind of weird how unfazed we were by it at the time because of all the other crazy things that have happened to us. That a random lady on drugs touching our picture vehicle was
the
like,
least.
Okay, we'll just work around it.
Yeah.
It was like, how many more hours?
Which is
this gonna
So
add?
then we had talking to the gas station owner. We're like, hey, this lady is like kind of bothering us. Do you mind running interference or something? And he was like, oh yeah, I got you. Like, I'll distract her and I'll get her away out of the shot.
Because those
Basically,
employees are like super
Dangles his
cool,
keys in front of him. Oh, look at this.
I have a car.
so he got her out of the frame. We were able to shoot our shot. And then what happened?
Yeah, and this is not a funny story. This is more just like, whoa, that's crazy that happened. But
Well, make it funny, Andrew.
I don't think you can make this funny. But anyway, the guy came to us afterwards, and he was like, "You guys have no idea what I just went through." I'm like, "What's that?"
He's
dude?
all shivering, smoking a cigarette. Looks over at Marvin. Hey, you mind if I have one of those?
Well, apparently she was like touching him up and feeling him up while he was trying to just like keep her out of the shot. And it was like,
my goodness.
to the point where he literally called the police, and they were arresting her then like 30 minutes later in the background of our other shot, which is literal sexual assault.
Oh, my.
So that's why I'm saying it's not, that part is not funny. Yeah. So
we
that's
just have to like
crazy.
give a shout out to these guys.
These are
It's
probably
just
the best
crazy.
possible like gas station employees who saved our day 18, and
They
then
really
They were
did.
the
all went
prime
home after
example
that.
of taking one for the team.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, it's kind of a crazy way to end production.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Becca flew out the next morning.
Well, yeah, because we were supposed to wrap really early. Like, I think right after sundown or shortly after. It wasn't going to be a long day.
It originally was not.
And so
Becca, they were never supposed to be really long days.
But especially, this was like one scene we had to get. And I had a really early flight the next day. And so as we're shooting later and later into the night, it's like midnight, it's like 1 a.m., it's 2 a.m. The more I'm thinking about it and like the hour drive back to base camp, the more I'm thinking I might miss my flight. I've never done that before because I'm thinking like, oh, we're getting close. Like, I don't know if I'm actually going to fly home today.
The thought process, I feel like, was kind of like, oh, I'm not going to get much sleep tonight. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not going to get any sleep tonight. Oh, I'm not going to even make the flight.
Yeah, I
Well,
was
yeah,
like,
because your
maybe I'm
flight
going to
was
nap.
like we'd have to leave at 5 a.m. And
Yeah.
by that point, we had stayed up all night.
Yeah.
And then we were getting the Mustang back to the house, and we were using the jump box to like breathe little bits of life into it and to drive like 20 yards, and then it would die, and then we'd jump it again, and then it would drive 5. But yeah, so we finally got home, and then as soon as we got home, you grabbed your stuff, and then you just left straight there to go to the
I just
airport.
didn't have time to pack. And then, then Mrs. White woke up and was like, "Oh, are you ready to go to the airport?" It's like, yes.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I stayed up for like 36 hours. I was afraid to sleep in the airport because I was afraid I'd like conk out and miss my flight.
Wow.
And then I could not sleep on either of the flights because the person next to me was very friendly. And I felt bad being like, "Hi, I've been awake for like hours.
Rebecca, you got to set boundaries.
She was really nice. I was like, "Oh yeah, okay." Like the whole time. And then when I landed and my parents picked me up, then they were like, "Oh, how was the movie?" And then I was like, "Well, now I have to tell them how this movie was." And I was
started telling them the long saga.
I have to distill 3 weeks of information
they're like, "Let
into
us
one
take you out
drive.
to dinner." I'm like, yeah, let's do that.
That's
and I'm like, I'm
fantastic.
just never gonna sleep again. And then I got home, and then my brother was like, "How are you?" And I was like, "I'm so sorry. I have to go to bed."
The one person you finally could be like, "No,
I can't do this anymore.
The brother's where you draw the line.
It's like I just spent like 3 hours telling mom and dad this story. They'll paraphrase it for you.
Okay, so getting into pickups, this one's called High Level Nudity. And this is kind of Andrew's redemption of the Run to Me story. But first, we got to talk about, basically, we were shooting this classroom scene in NorCal originally at Principal Photography, and then we had to shoot the rest of it down here in SoCal for a pickup shoot. So Tyson, can you tell us a little bit about rewriting the school scene day of and why we had to do that?
That's my personal favorite day.
Yeah.
Because that was a chance for me to get more work for the day. It was awesome. In a good way.
You increased your role in that
increased
scene.
my role in that scene. Yeah, because we show up to the school, but we show up and we're supposed to have a great day of filming planned. There's supposed to be a bunch of extras that are playing all the kids that are going to be in the classroom, that Marvin and Joey are going to go and like talk about their podcast, because that's a normal thing. And we arrive, and 2 things immediately start to show as a problem. 1, the school is locked.
Yes.
And then 2, we're kind of like, where are all the extras? There's like 1 who showed up.
1 kid.
1 child and their adult parent who are like, "Hi, we're here for the shoot." I can't tell which is the more pressing of the issues. The fact that we can't even get into the school, or the fact that everyone is slowly realizing that, like, well, even if we can get in, what is it going to do? Because we have no kids to film this scene with. Like, none of the extras who said they were going to show up have shown up. I forget how we actually got into the school.
Connor
found an opening. He like hopped the fence and started checking doors.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh man, what a guy.
The dedication.
Dedication.
Yeah.
Kicks down the front door. Y'all looking to shoot a movie? So epic.
Maybe it's a good time to bring up that this was on a weekend.
Right. But however, but this was one of those moments where we had confirmation. People knew we were supposed to be there, and there was supposed to be someone there to let us in, right? And that person wasn't there.
Correct.
It didn't make a difference.
Why bother confirming anything? Like, this makes no sense, you know? It's as if people weren't taking you seriously when they're like, "Oh, you want to shoot a movie?" Yeah. And they're like, hang up the phone. No one's ever going to show up on that. That's not a thing that happens.
Like, that was a weird phone call.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of hard getting people to
calls are
take us
getting really
seriously
weird.
because we were so young.
Right,
You
yeah.
know? And so it was hard to get people to actually...
But would they just assume that we weren't going to do what we said we were going to do? Anyway, so point is, Connor comes sit through, gets us into the school. This is awesome. By this point, we have now realized there are no extras coming. And so we're now faced with the problem of like, what we're about to lose an entire whole day of shooting. One of you guys tells the one extra just like, "Hey, thank you so much for coming, but like, just go ahead and go home.
Yeah.
We'll have to hit you up later if we're going to actually do this." And we're suddenly now in the mode of like, how do we salvage this day? We can't just afford to take a day off, and all of our other days are spoken for. And everything was pretty tightly scheduled to just make sure we got the most out of our time. I don't remember like how you involved me in the conversation, or if I just kind of like went up to you and was like, "Hey buddy, like I have some ideas for, you know, what we can do."
Yeah, it was pretty much, what can we shoot here?
Right.
And how do we rewrite the scene?
Well, we knew that we could at least shoot my stuff as it was originally intended. But we also realized very quickly that like that would be done in an hour. So we just wanted to be able to try to make this most use of our time. And so that led us to just sort of sitting down into one of the empty classrooms and just kind of, I think, telling everyone else just like, "Hey, hang tight. time to go to work. And I went in because I was just like, hey man, like if you need, I got some ideas, or I'd love to like be a part of this.
Yeah, man. And you're a writer as well. And
Right.
it was like, hey, you, me, and is that basically it? And we just decided to rewrite.
Drew was there.
I think Drew.
Yeah, I mean, there
know.
were other people, at least one or two other people in the
everyone
room.
was throwing in ideas, but it was mostly you and me just figuring it out.
In a core of just like, because at the end of the day, you also had to approve the whole concept and the idea of what we were doing. So we took what was supposed to be a very simple Duke having a physical assault on the vending machine that won't give him his chips,
right?
Which that was literally it. The whole scene as scripted was, and you say I don't remember the script. I remember this.
I remember that one scene we didn't do.
It's because there were no words in it. That's why there was no lines. But it's like Duke goes in, puts his money in, the machine doesn't give him his chips, and then it's like each time we cut back to me, I'm more and more aggressively like trying to get my chips, which maybe at the end of the day was like better we didn't do that, because not our vending machine, and like I'm just beating the crap out of it. Just so random. Like the superintendent comes to the school the next day and is like, it's broken, glass everywhere,
all the chips are gone.
All the chips are gone. And so we came up with this whole awesome, fun idea of, hey, what if Marvin and Joy have gone to the wrong class? Which that was also part of the script too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's like, well, how about I run in to the guy who's supposed to be the speaker, the guest speaker of that class. Marvin and Joy, they're in the wrong class, and I'm supposed to be this distraction and chasing them down. And that was the idea we kind of settled on. I don't even think we wrote really any lines. We just said like, this is the basic concept. This is how it will escalate. These are our beats we want to hit. And then Tyson, can you improvise your way through this? And it's like, yeah,
yeah.
I
And you
think
had some
so.
funny lines too in there as well.
And also we had like good back and forth, because there's also, I think, a really funny one, because I was 28 when we were filming this. Not the most unusual thing, right? We've had 28-year-olds playing high schoolers, in a John Hughes film. Yeah. But I did like the one line, shouldn't this unusually developed young man be in class? That was my dad.
Well, Andrew's dad, and then Drew Huang is the one that said that.
That's right. Drew says
that.
And so that's one of my favorite lines that kind of came
that was
out
so
of that.
funny.
And it was just a really fun like way to play with, the scene and do like cool physical stuff. I think I'm my most physical, in terms of like performance and comedy in that particular scene. So it was just a really fun day. But like almost all of the ideas we had just made it into the film, and you'd never know that it wasn't planned, or that we made it up on the day. I think it ended up working really well. So
it totally did.
It was just super fun.
Wow.
Yeah. And so then when we came back down to Southern California to do pickup shoots, we decided, okay, now we're going to get all the extras in here and we'll do it right this time. We'll have a set teacher and all this, right, Andrew?
Yeah, because the last time I had done a set with kids was the whole Run to Me story. And so I have not yet had a successful...
Andrew's having like PTSD flashbacks.
Literally, bro. It's like... And now we're about to do a scene of like 12 kids all at the same time. And so I'm thinking...
You're
like,
just thinking, I cannot handle all like 12 sets of parents all freaking out at once.
Exactly. So I wanted this to be a whole like redemption moment from like Run to Me. So we had set up a really detailed video introduction for all the parents. We like... filmed a run through of, hey, look at me, I'm a real person, I'm a student, and this is how we're gonna go film the thing, and this is what the day's gonna look like. Here's the script so that you know that it's like a sex ed comedy scene, and then here's the studio teacher and their contact info. We paid money. Wow, so that we can have one of those.
Nice.
And then all the parents just had like a super good attitude, and they were just stoked to show up and get their like $30 for 4 hours of work.
Right.
So those are real numbers.
Yep. So what I said, this will live on in infamy. What I said, because I was trying to direct the scene and I was trying to direct the kids that like, hey, this is what's going to be happening. And so I'm saying, all right, guys, in this scene, you're about to see some high level nudity. Right. I said that, dude. And Andrew was like, whoa, no. You got like the parents like peeking. You got the parents like peeking through the window, like, what the heck? Like, what's going on there? I had to like backtrack real quick, and we're like, no. You're not actually going to see it, but we'll superimpose it later.
Just pretend you're seeing something gross.
Just over-explaining it to like, you just go like, look, just pretend you saw something gross and go. That's all it needed to be.
That's all I should have done. Yeah, but I was trying to explain the whole thing. Yeah. So that was a little weird, but it was funny.
Parents didn't care. They thought it was funny.
Yeah. The next thing is the tower search. So we spent 9 months searching for a new tower. Most of these options were dead ends because they were owned by either American Tower Corporation or they were privately owned and hard to get a hold of. And no one wants you to film on top of their radio tower. And so we went through a lot of options trying to find our perfect tower.
Which isn't that pretty amazing that by now you guys have become low-key experts on the radio tower industry. You're just like, you have all these nice little factoids
We had
about
joined
it.
Facebook groups for radio towers. We
Yeah.
had like found a whole database. Spencer Harding totally hooked us up with like a tower network and stuff.
Yeah.
If you guys ever need another radio tower, like,
we
you know
are
where
your
to-
guys.
Yeah.
If we ever shot a Space Waves EP2, I feel like it would be just as hard to get another tower.
Probably.
Like it was
Yeah.
crazy.
Because you guys
man.
barely got the one that you did.
Yeah, barely.
And it was free, which is pretty cool. They were down to
So talk about that one phone call you had, dude.
Yeah, there's one prospective tower that we were looking to film at, and I had a phone call with him just to like say, hey, this is what we're looking to do. This is a privately owned one, not owned by like a big chain.
Right. So the best chance of actually filming is one of the privately owned ones.
Yeah, and I was hopeful because we were like a few months already into like rejections, and so I just wanted one to pan out. So I had told him like, oh, we're gonna be filming there. Here's like what the scene is, and he's like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then by the time I got to like us climbing it, the tone totally shifted, and he was like, what? You're gonna climb it? I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the whole idea. Like they record on top of the radio tower, and there was like a moment of silence, and then he was like, you step on my property, you're done. Oh my god. And I'm like, whoa.
This is escalated.
And again,
What does that even mean?
To your point, Tyson, it's like there are plenty of reasonable people who would not feel comfortable with people climbing on their tower, but
they
you
would
can
at
ask
least-
questions about it.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
make it a conversation and back and forth and be like, well, I'm not comfortable with that. Can we compromise? And he just immediately goes to the threat. It's
And,
like,
and from what you learned eventually as to why you can't just climb the radio tower, right? It's like because of safety precautions and all that,
Yeah.
which you eventually learned from when you did book it and what you would need. And you guys had to have like some brief training and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But like, why wouldn't this guy to think of bring up, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, what? Oh, guys, I don't know. You can't just do that. And these are the reasons why. Like, no, just you step on my property.
You're done.
You're done.
And then we heard like a shotgun click clack on the other side of the phone receiver.
Hold on. Did you hear that? No,
Let me put it up to the speaker.
I wonder if there's like a past experience that he's, drawing.
that's
from.
possible. That's
That
possible.
last film crew.
How bad could that experience have been, though?
And then this next one I like to call tower terrorists, even though we weren't. But this crazy guy thought we were, whatever. This guy was like this crazy guy at the tower when we finally did show up and we shot. This guy was there with 2 dogs, one in the backpack, one on a leash, and he's all thinking we're terrorists or thinking we're threats to democracy. He's calling the police and he's like, yeah, I'm in a bit of a bind, and he's all trying to kick us out. I remember that. He said that. He said, we're in a bit of a bind right now. And he did not want us to shoot there. And this is not the owner of the tower.
This is some random
This is a
guy.
random
Random
dude.
guy,
After
yeah.
we had already secured our tower, we had a permit, we had
Also,
all,
you
we
guys
had the
are
safety
there with your
precautions.
safety guy.
Yeah, we had all
Yeah.
of our gear. We even had our porta potty up there. So like we were legit.
Right.
By the way, how the hell did they get that porta potty up the mountain?
That is a
Some
mystery
things
we
you
may
don't
never
want to
know.
know, Spencer.
But yeah, so it was just another day in the life of Space Waves. It was like the truck broke down on the way up there. We always had our trucks breaking down. We had crazy people calling the police on us.
What it really is just
You
another
know.
story of someone not minding their own business.
Yeah, for real, dude.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So-
do you own this property? Are you a member of the guild?
got his 2
No.
dogs.
Oh no! Get the hell out of here!
I'm a concerned
Okay,
citizen.
so what happened was we ended
Just
up
a concerned citizen.
yeah, dude, an overly paranoid citizen. So we shot our scenes at that tower. It worked out great. This was actually a better tower than the one that we originally had because this one was like symmetrical.
Then the original one in Grass Valley.
Yeah, I mean, it was better. It was symmetrical. It looked great. We were able to shoot at sunrise and sunset with the nice drones coming in. So it really was perfect.
Another part of this too, and I can see why, just given context and life experience, why you guys wouldn't have even, when you had to look for a new tower, because for those who don't know, the original one was demolished like right before filming. It was a hometown feature for you guys in Grass Valley, right?
Yeah, it was kind of what I wrote the movie around. It was like one of the main pieces. I was like, oh, this is a place that I went to growing up, and I wanted to include it in the film. And so when it was demolished on day one, it was like
massive.
Just huge wrench into it.
Well, another reason why you guys probably didn't think that, the process of getting another one would be so difficult is that a lot of these are like not even in use anymore, and you guys would climb up that all the time. Like people would climb up it all. There's graffiti all over it, blah, blah, blah. So in your guys' head, you're probably like, oh yeah, this should, and then all of a sudden you realize.
Yeah, and I'm a skateboarder, anti-establishment. Well, we don't need permission. Like, let's just climb it. Let's just do our thing here. Better to ask forgiveness than
beg for forgiveness than ask for permission.
Permission.
Little did you know. Apparently your radio tower was the only radio tower in the country that people were climbing on.
Apparently. So we ended up shooting the rest of the scene down at the bottom of the tower because this guy was threatening us and calling the police and all this. And we had shot like 3/4 of what we needed, and we had one last thing to shoot. And originally Marvin was supposed to be sitting up on the tower alone, depressed that he doesn't have Joey with him and stuff. And dude, we don't have time to climb back up the tower. It's not the best lighting right now. So I called the shot that, hey, let's just shoot it on the ground and we'll film the tower and then we'll pan down to Marvin down on the ground. And then that worked a lot better thematically, and he was right there in the shade. It looked good. We were able to shoot it and get it done. And then right after we got it done, then that's when the cops showed up.
Yeah, because I was going to say they showed up,
They
right?
did show up.
But then when they talked to you, they were like, you guys have permission to be here? You're like, yeah. And they're like, sir, do you own this place? He's like, well, no. And then they're like, okay, so what are we doing here?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pretty much. And then they told us, they're like, oh yeah, that guy calls all the time.
And you guys had like a written permit, right? Or something
Yeah.
like that. And you're just like, and they're like looking at it, yep, checks out. I don't know why are we even here right now, wasting our time?
Which for some reason the hiker with the dogs who called the police on us was not interested in seeing because he thought that he was
fake.
above the law. Yeah, because it was fake.
That's not real. I don't care what your paper
Andrew,
says. Didn't the cops tell you that this guy calls all the time and involves himself in other people's business?
Apparently he was like a wannabe ranger and just trying to be a part of the team, right?
A real life Dwight Schrute.
Yeah. That's right.
That is correct.
All right, next. Post-production. So paying for space waves during post, it was tough. We couldn't even get jobs at gas stations or mortuary drivers, right, Andrew?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You wanted
mortuary drivers?
Andrew was applying for everything and anything, and somehow
How do you not get a job?
Yeah.
They knew Andrew wasn't a good driver. Yeah, I was gonna say, did you tell him that you got your truck stuck in a ditch? Like, that's what you're supposed to leave that off the resume, Andrew.
For the record, I was on a shoot with Andrew.
Oh no.
A month and a half ago.
Oh no.
And
Nobody knows about this yet.
Oh no. Did you crash your truck again?
He also got his car without any context. Andrew was trying to catch an escaped horse, and then his car got stuck.
That is a true story.
And we're all having lunch, and then we get a call, and Andrew got his car
This is
stuck.
the third
And I was
time
like, this is the
that
most
we know of.
Andrew said event I've never heard.
I guess we can tell the full story another time. The short version is there was a horse on set that ran away, and the horse wrangler looks at me and says, "Get in the car and drive. We need to go chase that horse down." So I'm in my Nissan Versa, not my truck anymore.
Oh.
There was a truck rental. So in my head, I thought you were in the like 4-wheel drive truck. And I was like, how did you get this?
No, they're in a
one
tiny
stuck?
compact car. Just
Because we were in the desert of Joshua Tree. I had to off-road in my Versa to chase a horse, and I don't know what I'm going to do when I cut it off. Which, by the way, is another detail that she says you need to cut him off to get him to stop running. And
what?
This is the horse owner telling me this. My head is just flooded with liability potential immediately.
I'm about to have a horse run into my vehicle.
And so by the time that we cut off the horse in some other person's property a little ways away, then she jumps out of the car and gets him. And then my car is just stuck in sand and can't get out and go anywhere. So the whole team digs it out. That was a bit of a tangent, but that's
it's a tangent I'm glad we went on.
Yes.
It's a fantastic story.
Thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, after we had shot principal photography and pickups, we were basically trying to get any jobs we could looking on Craigslist just to get some extra cash. We'd basically accept anything at that point. Clinical drug trials, human experiments, by the government. Okay, this is... I have written this whole riff here. Digging in IKEA couches for change, But anyway, then we came across the arm wrestling tournament. This was a Craigslist ad. Andrew, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, this was a summer where we were looking for any kind of money, so we went to Craigslist.
Yeah, like in a movie, you got it's an ad for the arm wrestling competition, and it's the exact dollar amount that you get.
So what's better than me and Spencer arm wrestling each other, because that would not be worth a lot of money, is being paid to attend an event at Microsoft Theater of a arm wrestling league, where they hype up a huge event on a stage and pay a ton of audience members to show up and be excited for the cameras.
Really? Yeah. Because you cannot get reopened people to be excited about arm wrestling.
Don't tell it is a big sport. Because it doesn't actually work. But Spencer and I received an email with our friend Kaylin, who came with us, and they gave us instructions to go to this office across the street from Microsoft Theater, where we wait in a line in the hallway, and when we get to the front of the line, we get a envelope with $50 of cash inside and instructions on how to get to the stadium, and they say, just don't tell anyone else that you were paid to be here. Probably because they're also selling actual tickets to the event.
Were you paid 300% more than everybody else?
300% pay increase, yes.
We got just $50 this weird each. Event, and it was like we would be kind of in the line to get in and like into this sketchy building, and everyone's kind of looking at each other like, are you? Yeah. And so everyone's getting paid under the table to show up and cheer. And so we were cheering for No Limits versus Wild Horse. And originally we were cheering for No Limits because he had a cooler name. We're like, No Limits! And then we realized he was a total douchebag.
Shots fired.
And like in between rounds, he had these like hot babes rubbing him down with oil. And think like Bonesaw from Spider-Man 1.
I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime.
Nice.
And then he was staring
hold
directly.
on. I'm supposed to not root for this guy?
Well, then he was
I think I like him.
Staring into Wild Horse's eyes, and he was like, I will beat you. I will beat you.
This is basically WWE, but just arm wrestling at a table.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
And then some dude that was cheering spit in my mouth. Some dude was like,
my God.
and I was like,
Did you spit back?
No, but I did have my first beer at that show too. Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
First beer.
Yeah.
It was a monumental weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a good time.
What a day.
So we got, $100 towards Space Waves, and we got a story out of it.
Nice.
So, that was a big part of Space Waves, was just like learning to value the stories and learning to value the small things.
The experiences,
Yeah. Next story, firing score. Okay, so originally we hired Ken. That's the alias. We hired Ken for a few $100. And we were like, yeah, you can do the whole score of Space Waves for a few $100. He's like, yeah. And we're like, okay, cool. It's all people like us who are just trying to get our foot in the door, just trying to make something and just trying to get our footing in the industry.
Right.
All DIY indie people,
Yeah.
He delivered 2 temp tracks to us, including the 5 Mile scene. And we explained, okay, yeah, we'll give you the next 50% once the full movie's done. And then all of a sudden he's appalled, right? And he's like, what? And somehow there was some misunderstanding of what the rate was going to be and how much money. And so then he's all like talking to us, being like, well, like, can you guys do another crowdfunding campaign to pay for the composer's fees and all this? And we're like, dude, we've already done 2 crowdfunding campaigns, and both of them we didn't even get close to our goal.
Right.
So like, we're not going to do another crowdfunding campaign to pay for this. And at that point, it was kind of becoming clear that we didn't want to move forward because I wasn't really happy with the direction of the music, and the relationship had kind of run its course and things weren't really working out, and him really kind of pushing us to do another crowdfunding campaign. It was clear that we just weren't really on the same page,
Right.
And so this was our first firing.
It was kind of nice change of pace to have a firing rather than a quitting.
That's true. That's true. But Andrew and I had one of our many phone calls beforehand where we strategized and we prepped, and Andrew said, okay, yeah, I'll deliver the news. Right?
Nice.
Yeah.
And so what happened on the call, Andrew?
I said something along the lines of like, all right, so yeah, regarding the payment and trying to figure out how to move forward together and what makes sense for everyone. Spencer, do you want to take it from here?
You threw me under the bus.
No way.
Yes. I chickened out. I got scared, and it's
Dang,
not.
I would have thought you, of all people, Andrew, you'd have had all this pent up from just all the things. You'd been like, I'm going to let him have it. And then when it came
Spencer,
to the
do you
moment,
want to take it from here? And I was like shocked because I'm like, oh, great. I just told him, yeah, like, you're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
You're fired.
You're fired. I recall you saying it with more.
Yeah, I didn't actually say you're fired. I just said that we were going to move a different direction, but it just wasn't a good fit. And like something Andrew and I learned early on is like you really just got to trust your gut. And like when there's a bad gut feeling about, you know, an actor or a crew member or a collaborator or just a situation, it's like you want to listen to that because it usually doesn't get better. It usually doesn't go away.
At the end of the day, it's just a business decision, you know? It's not like personal. And you're just like, it's for the better of the project. I'm sorry, this isn't going to work out, you know?
Yeah,
and you learn that really quick as you go through these things. I think what's so hard probably, right, is like when you kind of feel a little bit desperate and you're just like, it feels bad to lose something. But at the same time, you just go like, nope, it's for the betterment of the project and we will figure something else out. So you just kind of like, you just got to do what you got to do, you know?
Exactly.
Yep, and then we had another one, firing sound. So our first sound designer, I guess we'll just give it the bullet point version, but he accidentally deleted 8 months of our work.
Game over.
No big deal. NBD.
Yeah.
And you're like, I went to so many arm wrestling competitions.
I became
many
Craigslist at that point.
Yeah.
All for nothing.
All for nothing.
So it was really awkward when we went to have to go to his place to like pick up our hard drive.
Wait, so this was like all like Foley, like
well, it took him
mixed
8 months to
sound?
finish like the first 20 minutes of the movie. It was like the kind of sunk cost bias where we're like, well, like he's already at 20 minutes in. But then when he did his spring cleaning and he accidentally deleted the project files and everything, it was like, what the heck?
Come on. No, like
professional.
Sound house is going to do that, you know?
Yeah, it's rough.
So I got an email from the sound designer and he said, hey y'all, hope you and yours are well amidst it all. I know things ended on a less than stellar note with us and I'll always wish it could have gone different, but I wanted to reach out on something. I noticed our credits were removed on IMDb, which I definitely understand the logic behind, as it appears others have touched it and likely overwritten a lot of our work. So I'm fine with my credit going away, but I wanted to ask if you might reinstate classified credit as sound editor. She put a whole lot of sweat equity into it, as you know, and she's building her career just as y'all are. And considering she was off to her current studio well before things fell apart between us, I hope that you'd add her back in. Let me know if that's possible or if you had any thoughts, questions, or concerns.
Wait, these are the people
I mean, that's
that
actually a pretty professional
deleted?
email.
It was.
for the
It
most part.
was.
Yeah,
But listen to what I had to say. F off!
Screw you!
No,
and your
dude.
sweat person.
And your sweatshop worker. But I said, hey man, thanks so much for the best wishes and reaching out. The film is finally finished and we're really looking forward to distribution and next steps. Exciting times ahead. We appreciate you inquiring about her credit. We totally agree that she put in a lot of hard work into this project, but unfortunately, because of the way things ended, we weren't able to use any of her work. As you recall, the project was in Reaper, and then because of an error, all the files were scrambled. After that, we spent 2 months trying to sort it out and salvage what we could. However, as time went on, we made the difficult decision that the best course of action was to completely start from scratch with a new sound designer and sound team working in Pro Tools. We'd love to credit her, but we don't believe it is fair to our existing sound team, and it wouldn't be right for them to have to share the credit with someone who is not involved in their team and creative process, let alone someone whose work was never used in the final version of the film. That being said, we're always willing to give her a good reference and recommendation should she reach out to us. Best wishes, and keep the film dream alive.
Yeah, it's pretty good. That's respectable. That's a pretty good shit sandwich.
Actually,
No, I like led with some positivity, you know, and then you give the bad news.
Hey, and Andrew, you can attest, I've gotten a lot better at writing cordial emails over the years.
We've got a long ways, brother.
and less offensive.
I think that's a fair response to it.
Yeah.
I like that.
I got a few more awkward emails that we got to bring up. The Duke Devastation email. Have you heard about this?
No.
Dish devastation. Okay, so I got to put this guy's email on blast. No names, of course, but it's just so ridiculous. And especially since this email came the same week that Rudy blew up because of Outer Banks.
Oh, coincidence.
So, yeah, coincidence, clout chaser. I looked at this guy's Instagram page and he's like modeling Gucci underwear, like BDSM gear. And I was like,
ooh,
no thanks. Dude, I'm sorry, but like, no. So check out this email that he sends me. Hey, Spencer, I sent an email to the email that I had from when we talked last, but it's a school email. So I thought I would send it to this email as well, just to make sure.
I already have a problem. There's way too many uses of the word email.
I wanted to reach out and give you some more info. Last we talked, I wasn't able to submit a self-tape for Space Waves, which I hear is finished and is coming soon. I am excited to see it, man. I was back in Indiana for my grandfather's funeral, and more problems arose after that with my brother and Misk. But I wanted to let you know that I was at the beginning of my career and I was not strong enough to handle everything that was on my plate at the time. Now I know my place now. And I know that I am ready and strong and mature enough to be attached to something and have that responsibility and not worry what will come up, having the confidence to know that nothing will faze me and I will be able to prioritize better. That was one sentence. I am really upset with myself 2 years later that I never gave a self-tape to show you what I could have brought to the table and that I possibly ruined a relationship and future opportunities with you. I hope that you have been safe and healthy during this pandemic, and I hope that we can possibly work together in the future on a project. I've updated a lot of my stuff, and it can be found on my website. Stay well.
But that's just so weird. It's like
so weird.
It's like, okay, you didn't submit a self-tape audition. Like,
yeah, and this was 2 years old at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
You never even auditioned. I reached out to you on Backstage and said, hey, we have a role open up for Duke Skylander.
Right.
You should send in a tape. And then he didn't take me up on that. And then 2 years later, as soon as Rudy gets famous, he comes crawling back to me and he's like, oh, Spencer, can I be a part of one of your projects?
Right. If only he knew that was gonna do nothing for us.
It's so like interesting though that he still remembers that.
Yeah, that is
I don't
wild.
know how that is.
I don't know.
why.
I have no idea, dude. That is weird. I'm not really sure what to take
I
from
didn't
this.
respond to that because I just felt a little uncomfortable.
There's nothing really great to say in response,
there's nothing to
right?
say. And especially if I'm not interested in having this guy on again, I'm going to let that email go.
That email sounds like you guys had a multi-year relationship and it just went really bad and you guys broke up. I asked you if you wanted to audition. You didn't. That was the end of that. Like,
seriously.
It's so
yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
All this oversharing information.
Guess he could have just sent a nice email like, I saw the movie, like, congratulations, without making it
and that would
so
actually have
weird.
been way better in
much
terms
better
of like
optics.
Like if you were to be like, oh, that might be a good piece of networking to have or a good relationship to maybe kind of like backdoor back into. It's like, that's all you need. Hey man, I don't know if you remember me, but you had reached out for an audition. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do so at the time, but I saw it's coming out. Really awesome. Can't wait to see it. Like, bam. Like,
it's a good email.
I should write this guy's. I should be just write emails, bro. That's it.
Yeah.
You need emails written? Well, no, my job's already taken. ChatGPT.
Tyson, aren't you so glad though that guy did not get the role for Duke Skylander?
Well, yeah, because if he did, I wouldn't have gotten it.
But we got to talk about the
I am
time
so
you
glad.
were recognized as Duke Skylander before the movie came out.
Yes. It's really kind of anticlimactic, but I was doing background work and I was on Black Monday, which is a TV show. And this was like a massive sort of cattle call day, which is just, they have a ton of background. You're just a little piece of grain in the entire beach. Yeah, you're a grain of sand. You're a grain of sand in the entire beach, right?
Okay.
There we go. I was just kind of hanging out, and for the whole day, I had nothing to do. Like, I was literally just walking around back and forth, and then all of a sudden, I hear from behind me.
Isn't this mid juggle as well?
Oh, right. Yeah. Because I was like, something to do. I know how to juggle. And so, like, I was bored and I was just juggling, as one does.
So you're like, guys, look at what I can do.
Yeah, look, I wasn't even doing it for anybody. It was just, I was just in the hallway by myself. And then from behind me, I hear, Duke? And that immediately piqued my interest because nobody knows me as Duke Skylander. The movie's not even out. It wasn't even close to being done. So I turn around and I'm like, yeah. And this guy goes, you ended up playing Duke Skylander in Space Waves. Yeah. He's like, you don't know me, but I auditioned for that role. And I was like, oh.
You beat me for that role.
You beat me for that role. And I was just kind of like, Yeah. Sorry.
There's no good follow-up.
Look it up. Yeah, it's just better. No, but no, he was chill. But yeah, that was kind of a really odd and surreal experience.
That was that?
That was that.
Yeah. Andrew, Marvel Avengers Endgame 77. You put on your Nathan Fielder thinking cap for this one.
I did. So the movie's done, and we're looking to get distribution and sell the film. And we had made Space Waves for a ridiculously small amount of money. And so part of the strategy to get the highest asking price would be for that amount that we made it for to not be public. That could be leverage against us in like a negotiation, because someone could look up Space Waves and our Indiegogo campaigns would come up, and our Indiegogo campaigns only had a $10,000 goal. And so people would be like,
which didn't even get fully funded.
Which didn't even get fully funded. So when they look at our movie, even if we just say like, oh, it cost us $50K, unless we show all of our receipts, then they would just look at it as a low value product and then not offer us as much as maybe we could otherwise have if it's just ambiguous.
Right, because they would be making like a lot of maybe negative connotations based off of not even looking at the movie or just kind of looking at some of these basic pieces of information.
Totally. And beyond just the number attached to it, even the fact that we're like students in our crowdfunding video and asking for money in that way, there are a lot of reasons why like the perceived value would be lower.
Right, because like we started as students, but then we became working professionals, right?
Right, exactly.
Over the 5-year process, it's like the movie got remixed and remastered so many times. And so we were really proud of the end product. But like some of those early years weren't the best showing of us,
Exactly.
And so we wanted to wipe the internet of any evidence, of any trace.
Exactly.
Vanish without a trace.
Vanished without a trace.
Exactly. So the question was, how do we get rid of these Indiegogo listings that come up when you search Space Waves in Google? And what I found out was that you're not allowed to take down old listings from your crowdfunding website because of whatever backdoor liability the site has, where record of other people's contribution to your project and what you promised them in response has to always be public. So there's effectively no way to take down an old listing.
Problem: Indiegogo stays up forever. Solution: get it taken down at all costs. Right?
Yes. So the question became, how do we get this taken down without breaking any laws? Right. So I asked customer service, hey, will you please take down this listing, because it's actually impeding the success of the product that the people donated money to contribute to.
We're now in a catch-22.
Yeah, that was the chain of logic. And they said, sorry, it's against our terms and conditions. We're unable to remove those listings for you. So then that led me to think, okay, well, if the only way this gets taken down is by breaking the terms and conditions, how can we do that?
Ooh. I'm going to use your terms of conditions to destroy your terms of conditions.
Nice. So I found a copy pasta that just is full of spam. And by copying this huge amount of text and putting it hidden in the body of our listing, any security bot that is half functioning should recognize this and see this is a problem. None of these words should be on a public website and still be up there.
Just a list of profanity.
I mean, it was a spam copy. So
right.
Yeah.
So yes.
So I was like, okay, this is a high risk play. What I'm going for here is to look like this listing should not be up and it's a mistake for it to be up, and Indiegogo would take it down to preserve the look on their site. The worst case scenario here is they don't respond to me, and then all of that text is just on a page associated with Space Waves. And
we
us.
did change the title as well. So we changed the title to Marvel Avengers Endgame 77. We replaced all the text on our listing with this copy and paste.
So I swap in all the bad words, and then I tell Indiegogo, hey, can you take down this listing? It looks like there's a bunch of bad words on it.
It looks like it's broken your terms and conditions.
And they promptly take it down. And now our Indiegogo is nowhere to be found.
And there was no lies either. It was pure genius.
That's a next level play.
Thanks, man.
Because you just told them, hey, it's breaking your terms and conditions.
Yeah.
And it was.
And it was.
Yeah. All right, I got 2 more emails to read here. Deborah.
Not her real name, right?
Yeah, that is her real name because she's cool. We'll give her a
she's
shout
cool.
out.
Yeah, Deborah.
Okay, so we got a message in the Space Waves email. This is right after Space Waves came out, and she says, having watched the trailer, I am hyped. I really wish to watch the Space Waves, except I am a French citizen living in France with a very French bank account. Sue me. Well, apparently these facts make it impossible for me to purchase your movie on any streaming platform. I have indeed tried all of them. I also tried using a you-know-what, changed my billing address to a random position in New York City. Everything failed spectacularly. I stopped as I was going as far as intending to open a U.S. bank account, realizing I was going way too far for a $5 rental.
That was the point.
My desperate French soul is here to question, is there any way to legally watch this very nice looking movie from a non-US country? If the answer is dumb and simple, please do razz me profusely. I won't mind one bit. Thank you and have a very nice day. I like her.
She's very kind.
So I'm like,
Got some
dude,
spunk.
this is awesome. So I responded, I said, hey Deb, thanks for reaching out. Glad you're excited to watch Space Waves. As of now, there's no way to stream it in France. We're hoping that changes sometime in the near future. However, give me a week or two and I will send you a private link to watch the film. Stay in touch. She says, hi, Spencer. Thank you so much for that response. I so did not expect it so fast, let alone from the director himself. LMFAO. I do hope for you the movie manages to cross the ocean. It would be awesome. You just brightened my day with the private link news, though. You are definitely my hero. Enjoy your day, and thanks so much. And then this is when I sent it. I said, consider me your hero. I sent the link and I said, if you could do us a favor, leave us a rating or review on IMDb once you've seen the movie. That would help us out. Thanks, Deborah. And then she responds and says, man, now I picture you as a flashy Superman, all Space Wave styled. Thank you so much. I seriously did not expect a free viewing. If there's any way I can financially help out with any future work of yours, let me know. I jumped on the link straight up to watch it and I had such a great time. Love the 80s vibe, which had me hyped so much in the first place. The whole fading friendship growing into what any teen has to face, growing a pair, and stop whining about the past. LMFAO. So did not write that on my IMDb review. Love the moral about little things to cherish for years to come. The movie in the movie, very cool. Big up for all the slow motion. My favorite scene was the fight scene between Marvin and Joey in the bedroom. Acting was really on point. Again, thank you for the link. Asking was so worth it. I hope it grows even more and lands in France for real one day. We'll keep an eye out for any future production. That was super cool. That was like one of the best messages we've gotten from Space Waves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was really sweet.
I don't care. She didn't mention my character by name.
All right, and to end out this podcast, the last email I'm going to read is from Cut Entertainment.
Ooh, should we create an alias or no?
No, because they basically rep all the movies that were cut from other distributors. Burn. Burn. Okay.
Why does that feel like the nerdiest burn?
Well, and this guy also shares the name of a child molester. So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah. All right, so let me read this email.
his
So
email?
basically, we had to see if this guy would pass the vibe check because we were looking for sales agents at the time.
Right.
You know. So Andrew, do you want to read your email to him?
Hi.
Classified.
My name is Andrew Baer, and I'm an independent film producer.
Classified.
Are unable to rep my feature film Space Waves for sales at this time, but they recommended I reach out to you and sent your contact information. Trailer link, film link. We're looking for a sales representative partner who can set up licensing deals on various streaming platforms. So far, we have only done TVOD self-distribution with iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, and as of 1 month ago, free on YouTube. If repping Space Waves is something you may be interested in, I'd love to hop on a call and get to know one another better. My director and business partner, Spencer, is CC'd as well. It's the email.
Sick.
The next one.
Here is dude's response. Hi, Andrew. I'm lost here on many fronts.
Not a good start.
Have you and I ever corresponded?
Oh, no.
Who are blank and blank of Bryloon Pictures, and how do they know me? What is Bryloon Pictures? What do you mean they are unable to continue wrapping the film? And
Yes,
how long
typo.
were they repping it? Sorry to sound
were they
blunt,
wrapping it?
but it seems the guidance you've received is abysmal.
What?
Kind regards.
Oh my
That was
goodness.
And we did not send a response.
Because clearly this is this is a lost
Clearly,
cause.
did not pass the vibe check.
Yeah, exactly.
We can end it out by saying Space Waves and Beast Mode are out now on YouTube, right? Both the full movies.
That's right.
So go join the party and see these adventures come to life. Thank you guys for joining.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Well
it's
done,
fun.
everyone.
We're just going to leave it at that.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, do me a favor and leave a rating/review. 5 stars is a power play. Be sure to follow the show and keep up with me on social medias at Spencer Whiteout. And as always, stay tuned, stay hyped. That's a wrap.
Inserting exclusive audio recording from the vault.
I do not have an audio recording of that one. Dude. Not of the submarine.
Yes, you do.
I do not have it because, dude, I listen to them a lot.
Alright. It was a dark, stormy night. It was actually a bright summer day, and I decided that I didn't want to take the time to wash my brand new 1991 shiny red BMW 3 Series. So, decided, you know what? I'm going to splurge a little bit. I'm going to go to the gas station and make the robots wash my car. So go to the gas station, drop $11.
Who's in the car
premium
with
wash and wheel detail with Spence in the car.
Yeah.
So we start going through, and then all of a sudden I realized that I'm in a convertible. This is not exactly the most waterproof car in the world, but there's no going back. We're on the track, and there's a car behind us. So the floodgates open. Water starts pouring in from all angles. Everywhere. Every seam of the car. The tops of the windows. The bottom of the convertible top.
The top of the
top of the convertible top. It just starts gushing in. Just like in a submarine. Mm-hmm. And so I realized that we're on a course to perish. We're going to die. We're going to drown in that thing if we can't stop it. So I take the shirt off of my back.
You try to save me.
I forego saving myself. Take the shirt off of my back. I say, Spencer, save yourself.
Patch the window.
Patch the window with the shirt. And so he pushes it up to the side. He's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I had to save myself and not you. As I'm gasping for air with my nostrils barely on top of the water. And I tear off my necklace. And I say, the legacy will live on.
I put it in my pocket.
Anyways, I just washed it by hand after that because that wasn't a good idea, and my carpet was like super wet. It smelled musty.
We got out of there, but
no, we won. Not without much sacrifice.
We didn't go down without a fight. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And that's it.